Hello guys, I'm Nikhil Roby Coleman and I'm with Tempo Financing. And on this channel, we teach you how to eliminate your debt. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for being here today and for giving me the power and the permission to explain to you how to reach your financial freedom. Today I will be explaining the difference between a loan and a line of credit. So let's get to it. First off, I'm gonna start off with a loan, which is something that at Tempo Financing, we do not encourage. We don't want any of our clients or anybody that we deal with, we do not want them dealing with loans. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into that first because that is the most common thing that our clients are into, and that's what we help them with. That is the most common thing that America that's going on in America right now today. Fun fact, 90% of Americans right now today have some form of debt. So I'm gonna just let that sink in as you listen to this video. Okay, so first off, like I said, we're gonna start off with explaining what a loan is. Okay, a loan. A loan is based off an amortized schedule. What is an amortized schedule? An amortized schedule is when lending institutions, banks, right? Those lending institutions, they put the situation inside of an algorithm, inside of a calculation, right? And they come up with this number that you're supposed to pay as a payment every single month. That is what amortized schedule is. So to break it down to simpler forms, an amortized schedule is just a fixed payment that you pay every single month, right? And inside of that payment, they split it up between interest and principal. The interest of the payment goes to the lending institution, and the principal goes to the actual debt that you have with that lending institution, which is something that we'll get more into. Secondly, a loan have a fixed monthly payment, right? So that's part of the amortized schedule. Part of the amortized schedule is the fixed payment. They want to make it as simple. They want to make it as simple to you from optics, from your eyes. When they see that, okay, I only have to pay $400 a month, for my car note, or I only have to pay $1,500 a month for my mortgage. They want to make it seem simple to you, but behind that, they're splitting your payments between the interest and the principal. The whole payment is not going towards the principal of your loan, and we're gonna further explain that in later videos. But for right now, we're right here. So loans have a monthly, fixed monthly payments, and a loan is a one-way lending tool. What is a one-way lending tool? This is what that means. When you make the payment and you put the payment in, the payment is done. It's closed. So when you're dealing with loans, as soon as you put the payment in, the door is closed. You can't call the bank, or you can't call whatever lending institution that you have. You can't call them and be like, hey, that $700 that I just gave you my payment, I need like 400 of that back because I have some things that pop up in my life and I want to, I need that money for that reason. No, it doesn't work like that with a loan. As soon as you make that payment into that loan, it is closed, it is sealed, it is sunk off, and it ain't no way of getting it back. So that's a one-way lending tool. That's why we call it a lending tool, because these are tools. A loan, line of credit, those are tools. But we want to use the best tools. So the best tool is not the best tool is not this tool, which is getting a loan. That's what I want to, emphasize and make simple to you. So it's a one-way lending tool, and in that one-way lending tool, you make the payment. As soon as you make the payment, it's done. It ain't no going back. Ain't no going back and trying to recoup some of what you just paid to the lending institution, which we'll discuss that later on as well. Loan. A loan is a front-loaded interest, right? Loans have front-loaded interest. What does front-loaded interest mean? Front-loaded interest is when you first acquire a loan, whether if it's with a car, a house, a boat, or any of those type of assets or things you acquire. When you get a loan for those things, right? When you get a loan for them, they are front loaded with interest. What does that mean? Front loaded with interest is when the payment comes in, when you send the payment in, they split up your payment between interest and principal. Interest is what goes to the lending institution, and principal is what goes to your actual debt that you borrowed to acquire that house, that car, or that boat. Make sense? Okay, so let's go over an elementary example. Let's say if you pay a $500 payment towards a car or something like that. They're going to split it up. They're going to split the payments up, and let's say $400 is going to go towards the interest, which is to the lending institution, and only $100 is going to the actual debt of what you borrowed to get that car. You see what I mean? That's not fair, right? That doesn't even make sense, right? But they have calmed your mind down, and they have tricked you and bamboozled you with just seeing that your payment is $500. As soon as you see that the payment was $500, immediately you was like, oh, I'm good. I'll just have to pay $500 a month. I'm good. But you paying that $500 over a span of 8 years for a car, for one car, right? Think about that. It takes 7 years to pay off a car, right? We have been so comfortable with living around trash, right? We have been so comfortable with living around manipulation to the point where when we see something different, we don't even know how to react to it. We don't even know how to respond to it. So that's why I'm here today cutting on the lights to let you know that you're being cheated, right? Now, I don't want to speak with two tongues, but at the end of the day, we all have to pay interest, rather if it's a loan or a line of credit, but it's the amount of interest that you are paying. It is ridiculous. When you go to your closing documents of your car closing documents with your auto loan, your mortgage documents with your home, with your boat or whatever, go to the closing documents, go to the last page and go all the way down to the bottom. And go to TIP. TIP is total interest paid. When you stroll down that line, down to that item line, it's going to show you what your true interest rate is, what your true interest rate is on that asset that you acquired. So I just want to enlighten you and open your mind up and let you know that the interest that you're paying on that house, on that car, is not the true interest that they telling you that you paid. They might tell you that you're paying a 6% interest or an 8% interest, on your possession, but you're not paying that totally. You're paying something way higher than that, but they don't want to tell you that because they know that will scare you off, and you won't acquire that asset or that what you're trying to possess, right? So that's why we don't lead people to get loans, because they are dangerous to the consumers, to people like us. They are dangerous. Loans are dangerous. You get in big trouble with loans from a financial standpoint. So that's what front-loaded interest means. Front-loaded interest means they front-load the payments, the beginning payments of the loan. They front-load it with interest. So by the time that you get to the end of the loan, they done already got their money and doubled it. They done doubled the money. You done pay for 2 or 3 cars by the time you done with the loan. By the time you get to the end of the loan, right? By the time you get to the end of the loan, you just paying mainly just the principal, because they done already doubled their money, tripled their money already. So we don't want to be in that situation. And they know that people don't keep cars loans. They don't keep homes for loan. They know that already. So that's why they front load it. Okay, let's go with a fact, right? Take this with you. Do you know that the average American only keeps the home that they moved in, they only keep that mortgage, right, for around 4 years before they refinance? When you refinance something, you resetting your loan. So within 4 years, you refinance, and within 7 years, right, you move out of that home. They know that. Same thing with cars. People don't keep cars for long, right? After a few years, right, they trade in the car to get another car. The companies, the dealerships know that. These lending institutions, they know that. They know that already. So that's why they front load it with interest, because they trying to get their money back. They trying to double their money as fast as possible. So they front load it with the interest. The interest goes to the lending institution, and the principal actually go to the debt itself. That's why it takes so long. And when you make payments, you be like, wow, like my payment's not moving. That's why. Because the payments, all of it's not going towards the debt. Most of it is going towards the lending institutions. It's just money in their pocket. That's it. They stacking easy because you signed over documents giving them permission to do so, and you paying it. Another one on the item list is principal is not liquid. The principal that you owe on these things that you acquire, whether if it's, like I said, a car, house, boat, those things, the principal on that is not liquid. It's frozen. It's locked up inside of a loan. Loans lock up the principal to the point where you can't get access to it. So think about it. It goes back to that one-way instrument. When that money goes in, it's locked. It's locked. It's like, imagine going to a dead-end street, right? When you go to a dead-end street, you locked in. You can't move. You're at the end of the street. You can't go further, right? You can't go further. And in this case, in the financial world, with a loan, there's no reverse. You can't reverse it and go back out. You go in and you locked in, and you stay there. So that's what the principle is like. So for instance, when you borrow something, right? Principal is just debt. Principal is just a fancy word to say debt. So if the car is $20,000, and at this point you done paid $15,000 towards the debt, which is the principal. That 15,000, you can't touch it. You can't do nothing with it. That 15,000 is with the lending corporation, with the banks. That's what that's with. You can't touch that. You can't move it or nothing. So keep that in mind. And a loan is a secured loan. Secured loan. What is a secured? A secured equals collateral. When something is collateral, that means you have to put something up, right, in order to acquire a property or to acquire a loan or a piece of property. When I say a piece of property, that could be, like I said, a house, a car, a boat, right? When you try to acquire those things, these banks and these lending institutions, right, they want collateral. What collateral mean? Collateral means they need something. Collateral means they need something to have just as equal, right? They need something to have just as equal, so they can give you that loan. Correct? So I know that y'all are used to this. When you go inside of a bank or you go to a lending institution, the first thing they say is, we need something collateral. Can you put something up? Can you put something towards, just in case you default on the loan? Right? So some people put their house for collateral. Some people put their cars up for collateral, depending on the type of loan that they got, right? Some people put up their boats for collateral. Some people put up properties, just other real estate investment properties. They put that up for collateral, right? So they can acquire that loan. So that's very risky. That's very dangerous, and we don't want our clients at Tempo Banking to go through that. We don't tell our clients to go with loans because it's too risky, and they demand too much. They demand too much for the average American to live up to, right? The demands are just strict. It's a short leash. You can't do nothing with it, man. You know? So I want you guys to really think about this, because today I'm educating you on something that your financial advisor would never tell you, man. They would never tell you this stuff. Why? I played in the NFL 10 years. My financial advisor would never didn't tell me nothing like this. No, he didn't tell me nothing like this. He just let me go off into the sunset, making me feel like I made the best decision ever to get a loan. And to be honest, my quarrel is not with people that's preaching how to get out of debt. The people that's out there that's doing that, I applaud you, and I encourage you to keep doing it. My quarrel is with these banks, with these lending institutions, right? And with these so-called financial experts called financial advisors. I don't ever want to be called a financial advisor. I don't ever want to have that name under my as a title under my name. Don't want it, because quite honestly, if you do have a financial advisor, or if you have an accountant or whatever, ask them this question: how much money have you ever acquired? How much money have you ever touched? Ask them. Ask them how much did they ever have in their pockets. Because if you never had the money that I had, then you can't tell me how to manage my money. So what we don't do, we call it in this day and age, we don't check the advisor. We don't vet them. Start vetting the people that's giving you advice about your finances. If you want to know about me, I'm a millionaire. I done touched millions and millions of dollars at a very, very young age. I got in the NFL when I was 19 years old. I was 19, I was still a teenager when I got in the NFL. I turned 20 on my way going into my first year in the NFL. And I had over a couple $1 million coming into my NFL career. So I've touched money. I have experienced what money is like. I've seen money come in, I've seen money go. Right? Do your background. You can Google me. I'm not hiding. I'm not these fake scam artists, people that come in and act like they have been, an expert for years upon years. No. Let's throw my credentials out. Forget that I went to USC. Forget that I studied finances and accounting. Forget that I got a degree in real estate development. Let's forget about that. Let's just talk about money. I've touched money, a lot of money, right? Did some investments, made some good decisions, made some bad decisions. That's how I know about the difference between a loan and a line of credit. So I thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you guys for locking in on this video. Keep watching these videos, keep educating yourself, and remember, take control of your finances, because nobody is not going to do it but you. Nobody cares about if you're struggling. Nobody cares if you're going through financial situation. Nobody cares but you. Remember that. Remember that. So take this opportunity to educate yourself on how to take control of your finances, because it's going to help you all the way till you die, and then you can pass this down to your kids, then your kids can do it. Remember, we're trying to strive towards financial freedom and really live our life and our vision that we have set for ourselves. Not to die trying. No. I want to die living. I don't want to die trying. I want to die living. When I leave this earth, I want to be able to say, man, I did what I wanted to do, because I made the right decisions, and I lived and fulfilled my word. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ do not want us to die pitiful, useless, worthless. That's not his intentions. He intended for us to dominate over the earth. Not be stolen from, not be pushed to the side and be looked down upon. No, that's not his intentions. So the first step of getting out of your hole, the first step of getting off the ground and on your feet, the first step is making a decision that you are going to take control. Thank you for listening to this video. I appreciate everyone for listening, and I shall see you on the next video. Thank you.